Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank everybody for being here today on a solemn day of 9/11. I appreciate the Chairman's tribute, but also his final words that we will never forget how we felt and how we feel about the events of 9/11. So I want to thank the Chairman for reminding us of those sober days and dark days for our nation and for so many families who still hurt every single day for the loss of their loved ones. So thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Mr. Marzano for coming today. Met his dad and his wife, so thank you all for being here with him and to present your policy views and answer some questions as the nominee for the NRC. As Chairman Carper noted, you first joined the EPW Works Committee in 2022 following your selection of a American Nuclear Society Glenn Seaborg Congressional Science and Engineering Fellow. ANS has a long history of supporting congressional fellowships since 2000, and this committee has repeatedly benefited from that expertise, and most recently with Mr. Marzano. Your decision to then select the EPW committee for your fellowship was fortunate, as the committee was actively addressing important nuclear energy issues. Following the conclusion of your fellowship, after 6 months working on energy policy for the Idaho National Laboratory, you rejoined Chairman Carper's staff last year as a lab detainee. In EPW hearings during your time detailed in the committee, we have discussed the need and the importance of being able to build energy projects all across this country. During those hearings, you have likely heard me detail how I believe the Biden-Harris administration's climate agenda and particularly the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, is putting America on a path that is harming our American competitiveness and consumers. We have continuously seen a regulatory strategy intended to suffocate our fossil fuel energy and shut down our coal plants and make it impossible to build new natural gas generation. So this regulatory assault on the power sector will result in major reliability challenges and increase imposed costs on American families and businesses. The negative effects of this on these energy prices from restricting the supply of reliable energy will be compounded by the growing demand that will result if the electrify everything proposals are put into place. So I think this is a wrong approach, and that's part of why we're here today. America desperately needs more reliable, affordable energy sources to power our manufacturing sector, to increase our increased demand for data centers and AI and other things, and to keep the lights on for our constituents 24/7, 365 days a year. We should provide that power by preserving our existing conventional energy generation and deploying new innovative technologies such as advanced nuclear reactors. Nuclear energy can and should continue to be a part of America's energy portfolio. Global events in particular have drawn a sharp focus on the need for U.S. energy leadership. Russia is creating geostrategic dependencies through contracts between their state-backed nuclear enterprise and emerging economies. And China has announced plans to increase its nuclear power capacity by 118 gigawatts, a 204% increase relative to current levels. This planned increase would edge out the United States as the global leader in nuclear energy policy. To meet these challenges, I led the bipartisan efforts the Chairman talked about with Chairman Carper and Senator Whitehouse to get the accelerating deployment of Versatile Advanced Nuclear for Clean Energy Act, the ADVANCE Act, signed into law. We were both there for the signature. The ADVANCE Act will help streamline the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's licensing process to be faster, cheaper, and more efficient. The law is intended, as you are well aware from your work during the bicameral discussions on its path to enactment, to ensure that the NRC will enable the safe use of nuclear energy not to be an obstacle. Implemented properly as Congress intended through the bipartisan negotiations, the ADVANCE Act will position the United States as the world leader in nuclear energy for decades to come, and that is absolutely essential. This will require the Commission to make policy decisions, provide leadership to the agency's staff, resolve licensing issues, and to modernize the staff culture to reflect today's energy outlook. To successfully implement the law, the Commission must also manage and allocate its resources, both money and personnel, to the highest priority licensing and oversight regulatory activities. Each commissioner weighs in on the budget formulation process, so I'd like to understand, with what actionable steps you would pursue if confirmed to ensure licenses and applicants are getting the maximum value for the fees paid to the NRC. I am sure that you, Mr. Marzano, recognize the importance of that principle, having worked for a licensee that paid millions of dollars to the NRC every year. During your time working at a nuclear power plant and as a licensed reactor operator, you gained important experience following the NRC's nuclear safety regulations. This is a different role, but different role than establishing those regulations. So I look forward to learning more about your experience and how you evaluate and vote on critical policy issues. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for bringing us forward.